He was called the Mad Monk. Born to peasant parents, he rose to the highest levels of Russian politics with his relationship with Tsar Nicholas II and especially Empress Alexandra. He seemed to be able to heal the sick and predict the future. And on the night of December 30th, 1916, he was murdered. This is a story of the rise of Grigory Rasputin and his brutal death.
Let's dig into this.
Warning, viewer discretion advised.
He was born on January 21st, 1869 in Siberia to poor peasant parents. There are few records of his childhood, but he was one of 9 children. Only he and a sister survived into adulthood. Rasputin was not his last name, but a surname given to him at school. Historians disagree on the meaning, but it was reported for decades to translate as debauched or the debauched one. And he was. From a young age, he was different, ignoring the rules, drinking, acting like a rowdy hooligan, and doing as he pleased. There are stories of Rasputin committing crimes like stealing horses and breaking major religious laws in his youth. But these may have been created later to discredit him.
Legends say he had a religious experience or vision which made him join a monastery at around age 18, intending to become a monk. He quickly changed his mind and left to travel around the country. He married at 19 and had 5 children. Staying in one place didn't seem to suit Rasputin. Although he had started a church and had a small following, he left his family and started traveling again. 3 of his children survived into adulthood, and his wife remained devoted to him until his death.
Rasputin started to gain a reputation as a poor holy man who could heal the sick and predict the future. Rumors also spread that he drank a lot and had relationships with his female followers and did not care about personal hygiene. He was also illiterate and could not write. Despite all of this, he was recommended to the Nevsky Monastery in St. Petersburg. Here, he would meet and impress church officials who would help him gain entry into the upper crust of Russian society.
It was quite popular at this time for society people, especially women, to hold salons. They can be thought of as a sort of tea party where one would show off their finest while discussing religion, politics, and current events. Mysticism was a popular topic, and Rasputin, with his intense gaze and special abilities, was a hit with society women. By 1905, he was friends with the Tsar's relatives and met the Tsar and Empress late that year.
Between November of 1905 and October of 1906, Rasputin met with the imperial family several times. They became convinced he had special powers to heal the sick and see the future. The heir to the Russian throne and hopes for the imperial family's political future, only son Alexei, suffered from hemophilia, a bleeding disease that still has no cure. His hemophilia was so bad that any illness or even a small injury could be life-threatening. Empress Alexandra was desperate to heal her son, and Rasputin became the man she was convinced could do it.
Rasputin was asked to pray for Alexei when he had internal bleeding in early 1907. He told the Empress the boy would recover, and he did. Then in 1912, Alexei came very close to death after a bad injury. Rasputin again said not to worry and assured the Empress her son would not die. Doctors were amazed when the boy, despite terrible internal bleeding and pain, recovered. The imperial family were now convinced Rasputin could perform miracles.
He became almost part of the family, granted unprecedented access, and considered an advisor on the family's health. He also became very close to the Empress, advising on politics whenever he could. People around the imperial family became uncomfortable with the unwashed, uneducated, ill-mannered Rasputin quite quickly. and rumors started to fly, especially about the Empress Alexandra and her daughters, the Grand Duchesses Olga, Tatiana, Maria, and Anastasia.
Rasputin fed the rumors by flaunting his position. He had no problem taking bribes to influence policy and continued to have multiple affairs with high society women. He leaked letters from the family, which showed the extent of their devotion to him. The more he showed off, the more enemies started to line up, and the accusations against him grew. Newspapers printed cartoons and articles accusing Rasputin of inappropriate relations with Empress Alexandra and her 4 daughters, and showing the imperial family as puppets controlled by the mad monk.
The Tsar and Empress refused to listen to any of it. Palace staff that accused Rasputin of inappropriate behavior and even assault were fired. When the head of the secret police and the prime minister confronted the Tsar about Rasputin, they were ignored. Both Nicholas and Alexandra considered anyone who opposed them to be conspiring against them. In the political tinderbox of Europe right before World War I, this was a huge mistake.
The war caused the Russian economy to fall. Tsar Nicholas made the terrible decision to take command of the army and go to the front himself, leaving the Empress in control of the government. Rasputin took full advantage and influenced the replacement of high officials with his own friends. By 1916, many members of the government and nobility decided Rasputin was so dangerous he had to be removed. A group led by Felix Yusupov, husband of Tsar Nicholas II's niece, had a plan. They invited Rasputin to dinner at the prince's palace on December 30th, and what happened that night has made Rasputin a legend.
He was fed tea and cakes laced with cyanide. He ate and drank and asked for more. Wine was served. It had poison, too. Rasputin drank several glasses, and still nothing happened. The prince wrote a letter in his memoirs that about 2:30 a.m. he went upstairs and got a pistol, returned to Rasputin, and shot him in the chest. Thinking he was certainly dead, the conspirators left for a time. When they returned, Rasputin jumped up and attacked the prince, who managed to free himself and stab Rasputin before running up the stairs and out into a courtyard. Rasputin chased him the whole way. After a bloody fight, Rasputin was shot in the forehead and he collapsed into a snowbank. He was wrapped in a carpet and the group dumped him off a bridge in the Neva River.
Rumors of the murder started even before the body was found. One rumor said the Grand Duchess Tatiana was present and wanted to see Rasputin suffer because he had assaulted her, but this has never been proven. One or more of the conspirators told several people, including soldiers and a policeman, what had been done and asked that they keep it a secret. The Stock Exchange Gazette daily newspaper supposedly ran a story on Rasputin's death on the afternoon of December 30th. This would have been hours before the murder happened, if it is true. His body was not found until January 1st, 1917, after workmen noticed a boot in the ice of the frozen river. Rasputin was found under the ice, 200 yards downriver of the bridge he had been thrown from.
The official autopsy record was lost, but the surgeon who performed it said he recorded 3 gunshot wounds, with one at great close range in the forehead. There was severe trauma from beating, a cut or a stab wound to the left side, and many other injuries. No evidence of poison was found. There was no water found in the lungs, according to the surgeon, so later reports that Rasputin actually drowned in the river are questionable.
He was buried January 2nd in a funeral only attended by the royal family and a few others. He had reportedly warned more than once that if he died, the government would be destroyed. He wasn't wrong. In 1917, his grave was opened, and his body was burned so no one could ever use it to honor him or the Tsar and his family, who had their own appointment with destiny.
We hope you liked that video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And we'll see you on the next one.